Um, so welcome, Nikki Tapley. Thank you very much for joining us. This is our first teachers networking event for belly dance teachers, and everybody. Nikki runs a network called Inspire for business women, and this is how I came across her, and was very impressed with how the whole how she runs everything there. So I asked her if she would give us a talk on marketing, and particularly we're all struggling to get back into the business world after COVID, get the classes off the ground, and I'm hoping that Nikki will have some ideas to share with us. So over to you, Nikki.
Thank you very much. I've just put my screen on share mode, so hopefully that is working and you can see that okay. So fingers crossed the tech will be our friend this morning. Thank you, Kay, for that introduction. So yeah, I'm going to be talking about the basics of effective marketing this morning. And so the context of this presentation, it's quite a broad introduction to marketing, but if you have specific questions about your industry or your business that you want to fire at me at the end, I thought that's probably the best way to do it, so that you can hit me with very specific questions, but I can just make sure that everyone's got the broad brush basics. And I'm just making some big assumptions that people don't come from a marketing background, they don't know anything about marketing, and just want to make sure that everyone's got a certain level of understanding. So I hope that that's okay. So hopefully this is where my transition is going to work okay. So here's what we're talking about today. So I want to talk to you briefly. All of these things are relatively brief. Okay, we've got about a 20-minute presentation. So we're going to talk about your values and your unique selling point. We're going to talk about your market, your messaging. We're going to cover something called the marketing mix, and then I'm going to talk to you briefly about creating a marketing plan and the importance of measuring, evaluating and reviewing that plan to help you decide what to do next, which is really important. So as Kay said, I am Nikki, and I have a number of hats. For some reason my images are not working, so I do apologise, but that is my face meant to be there, but you can see me this morning, so that doesn't matter. It was all working fine when I checked it all last night. There we go. So I wear a number of hats, and as well as being the CEO of the Inspire Network, which Kay mentioned, I'm also the managing director of the Sunshine Agency, which is a branding and marketing agency. I am the founder and chair of trustees of a charity helping women to flee domestic abuse in pregnancy. I've been in business about 16 years. I've got a background and a degree in PR and comms. I started my career in marketing as an agent within an agency. I do business coaching and consulting. I invest in a number of businesses. There's other businesses I have that are not listed here because I just don't want to bore you with that today, and you don't need to know about them. But I have won awards for entrepreneurship in the last year or two over COVID, and I have 2 girls, a puppy and a cat, so my life is quite busy. But it's a pleasure to be with you this morning, and thank you so much for taking the time to come and hear me, and hopefully this will be useful for you. So the first thing we're going to talk about is defining your values and your USP. So you all teach belly dance, and there are loads of different disciplines in dance, and there's loads of different fitness opportunities for people to go and get involved in classes and things out there. So one of the really important things for you to do, whatever industry you're in, but in your industry specifically too, is to recognize that there are going to be things about what you do and how you do it and who you are that make you different to the people around you. So you don't need to feel like you're in competition with other people. It's about recognizing what you do that is brilliant and wonderful and special, and really honing in on those things so that you're not trying to kind of be all things to all people. You can be very, very specific. So I encourage you maybe to refer to this presentation if Kay's going to share it later, to actually go through this and kind of look at it for your own business, because this is quite deep work. And actually, when I work with clients on marketing strategy, these sessions can take an hour each for each of these points, so at least an hour. So we're just scratching the surface of marketing today. But I want you to think about your personal values as a human being, as an individual, as a woman, as a belly dance teacher. What are your values as a person? And then to think about what are your values in your business. And quite often there will be some overlap because you are running your business, but think about what is most important to you in your life. What do you value in is it things like courage, honesty, fun? Is it empowerment? Is it excitement? Is it energy? You know, think about the things that you value, and also what you pull into your business. Because your values are really important, because the way that you do your business, the way that you market your business needs to show those values, and they need to sort of shine through in your marketing. So think about those and come up with a bit of a list. There's loads of sort of values lists on Google if you want to go and have a look and sort of work through a list to help you. Then think about, what makes you and your business different to others? So what is special about the way that you do things? What do you bring as an individual? And I'm going to just encourage you to, this can be very difficult for some people, and just to go, that's okay. If you find this difficult, it doesn't matter, but it is something that you can, if you're prepared to go deeper into yourself and who you are, you can pull out the answers to these questions. So one of the things that can help you if you struggle with this is to think about what your clients, what your ladies in your classes, what would they say about you? If they've left you reviews, what have they said about you? Because that might help you to gain an understanding of, why they've chosen you, what they love about you. And as women, we're very good at not embracing that, and kind of, we kind of are very naturally inclined to not want to receive lots of compliments. We struggle with that sometimes. But this is about finding out what your clients love about you. And you can even ask them, if they're not telling you, ask them and say, I would just love to understand what it is you love specifically about these classes and coming to me, and hear what they say, because those things are part of what makes you special. But actually, your unique selling point, the thing that makes you really special for most of us who are running our own businesses, is understanding our why, our driving force, our reason for doing what we do. Because I don't know about you ladies, but most people I encounter, and certainly for myself, we go on a journey through life and we learn a lot about ourselves, we learn a lot about the world, we learn a lot about relationships, and we find a sense of purpose and meaning as we mature. And knowing what really motivates you to do what you do now, not just as a business, but actually at a deeper level. Why belly dance? Why in the area that you are? How did you come to where you are now? What lessons have you learned on that journey that make you you? Because those things are things that you can harness in your marketing and in your messaging to help speak to the ladies that you want to come to your classes, for example. So if you've been on a particular journey where you've been very disempowered at some point, perhaps you've been bullied at work, or you've been treated badly by some people, or you've not had opportunities, or you've been made redundant, you've got all these sort of life experiences that have led you to doing what you're doing now, perhaps. And those are stories that you can tell and you can share, and the women that you're sharing these messages with, whatever methods you're using, can use those stories to identify with you and go, oh, she's someone who understands what real life is like. She understands me, she understands women, she understands how I feel about myself. And I imagine with a lot of what you're doing, there are things around body confidence and things like that you can probably tell stories about for your own experience that will empower other women to want to give it a go, for example. So consider these things, make some notes about them, and think about what really does make me different, what makes me special. Okay, so the next thing you need to look at, once you've looked at yourself, is to look at your market. So your market are the people who you are going to sell to. So depending on where you live in the country, you'll have different geographical markets, but you might also have sort of very niche markets within women. For example, I would imagine that most people that want to learn belly dance are women. So, but you want to kind of really define specifically who you want to target with your marketing, because it's very tempting for us all to say, well, we want all the women, we want all the ladies to come and do this because they're going to love it so much, they're going to find it really helpful. But the reality is not every woman is going to want what you've got. So you need to really think about, who is she? Who is she, that woman that is going to absolutely understand what it is that you're about and wants to come and join you. So this is a very difficult exercise for some people, and I do want you to come back and think about this later, and draw a picture with a woman in the middle of it and think about who she is. So one of the things that can be really helpful is to think about the kinds of challenges that women are facing, or the problems that they have, or the worries or the fears. So think about how they think, not necessarily straight away as the first port of call how old they are, exactly where they live, because their demographics are important, but also their sort of psychographics, the way that they think, the worries, the fears, the challenges they have, and also their desires. I'm a big fan, and the whole of what we do in Sunshine is about speaking into people's desires and wanting to really serve our customers as businesses by giving positive messages. So think about what, you know, the ladies that are going to come to you really want. You know, what are they going to get when they come to you? Not just a belly dance class, but what are they going to experience? How are they going to feel? What's the difference it's going to make to them? Because when you understand what they're looking for, you can more clearly understand who you need to be speaking to and the kind of messages that you need to be putting out there. You don't just need to be saying, I've got a belly dance class on this day at this time, who wants to come? You need to be tapping into people's emotions, because we make decisions based on our emotions. So it's, you know, if a woman's challenge is that she's unfit and she doesn't like the gym and she doesn't like sort of being on a treadmill, she's a sociable person, but she's scared of going into a class and making a fool of herself because she doesn't know what she's doing and she feels like she's got 2 left feet. Actually, her challenges are, I can't go along to classes because I'm not going to be able to keep up, I'm not fit enough, I'm not coordinated enough, but I would love to do something that would be fun with people. So actually that woman's want is to be to feel safe and to feel that she can be the person at the back with the 2 left feet that nobody's going to judge or laugh at, and she's going to be welcomed and included into that environment, and that she is going to, even though she's coming from a background with no coordination, she's going to be able to benefit from this experience because so you have to really think about your market, who really are going to come and pay money to come to your classes, and their different characteristics. And you may have multiple different personas, if you like. So you might have 2 or 3 different types of women, but I encourage you to create a personality, a persona, and then aim your messaging at them. So you could have, you know, Donna, Steph and Susan, and they could be very different types of people, and they could have very different backgrounds, they could have different family environments. So think about your different personas in terms of, you know, what's their spending power? Do they have a family that are trying to fit life around? Are they working, so they're really busy in the day and then they've got family in the evening? Really understand the challenges and the lifestyle of the different women that you're trying to speak to, because when you get into that mindset of understanding them, you're able to decide how and where you're going to market to them, which is really, really critical. So I do encourage you to come back to this and have a think about it, because it is really important to get these foundations in place before you start putting marketing stuff out there. Because the temptation is, oh, I'll just put some leaflets there, I'll just drop some cards off here, I'll just put some stuff on Facebook and hopefully the right people will find me. But actually, if you can be really focused on exactly who you're trying to reach, you can put yourself in places where they are at times when they're there, and make sure that you are getting your message out there as efficiently as possible, which is what you want. So once you know who you are, what makes you special, and who you're trying to work with and bring in, then you need to think about your messaging. So when I talk about messaging, I'm talking about some key messages that feed through in all of your marketing. So when you know what you value and what's important and what makes you special, and you know what women are looking for and who you're looking to connect with, you can create some little messages that are going to speak to them powerfully. And sometimes people find this really difficult, especially if you don't come from a marketing background. Sometimes you can benefit from having a chat with someone to really nail this down for you. But generally speaking, the best way to approach your messaging is to think about, what do I bring? So those sorts of things, like what can I offer to people? Not just belly dance classes, but what am I actually offering in that? What's the experience they're going to have? So you can see in this picture here, I picked it because to me this picture is it doesn't look like your average community centre. It looks a bit like they're doing this in an office and they've kind of got a load of people in, but they're all from different sort of demographics, and maybe slightly older women, and when you're putting your marketing materials out there, things like the images that you use contain hidden messages. So this image says, our class is suitable for older women. and it's inclusive and it's friendly. You don't have to be this fit young thing to come to belly dance, and we're going to teach you, and you're not going to have to wear little kind of bikini tops and little sort of zhuzhy skirts, you know, so that even the images that you use when you're promoting what you do can speak to the people you're trying to reach. So really think about not just in your words that you're using in your writing, in flyers or social media posts, or you know, whatever you might be sharing, think about your images too, because they have power. So think about what you bring, who are you doing it for, what are you offering, what are they going to get from the experience, and make sure that's clear. But then ask yourself, if I was reading this as, you know, one of my personas, Susan, you need to ask, so what? So you can read all these things, like this lady's offering this, she's offering that, she's offering that, but make sure you've answered the question, so what? So why should I be interested in this? What's the impact it's going to make to me? And that's the so what question. So if you look at something you've written, and somebody reading that who asked themselves, so what, didn't have the answer to that question in that post, or in that piece of writing, or in your website, or in your blog post, they're not going to be driven to act on it. They're just going to read it and go, that's interesting, and move on. So when I say so what I'm really meaning is make sure that you're showing them why this is for them specifically, and make it compelling as an argument why they really should come and try this out, because so the because is really the answer to the so what. What's the impact it's going to make on their lives? How is it going to make them feel better? What's it going to really offer them beyond an hour's belly dance class? And then when you've got your messages about what you have to offer, and you've kind of crafted some little messages about, this is what I do, these are the people that I help, this is why I do what I do, this is the impact that it has on you know, my ladies' lives, and this is what they say. The saying it part is the proof. So a lot of people miss proving it. They shout about how wonderful they are, but they have no evidence to back it up. So this is where you can quite easily increase your impact in the marketing that you're doing by quoting people. So quoting your existing class members, people that have worked with you, people that have experienced your teaching. You need to prove it by quoting, by showing testimonials, by if you have ladies that are willing to, you know, actually have their photo with a little caption underneath with something they've said. You know, some people won't, some people will, but that's fine. But think about social proof. So you can say that you're wonderful at things till you're blue in the face, but if you've got no evidence, it's just empty words. So do think about how you can prove that you do what you say you do, that you're going to bring the change that you say you're going to bring to women. So dropping bits of proof here and there is really, really powerful, particularly on things like your social media or your website, having a testimonials area, for example. But just littering it across what you do is really, really helpful. So once you've kind of defined some key messages about, this is who I am, this is what I do, this is who I help and how I help them, this is why you want to come to my classes, this is the difference it will make to you, and maybe some bits about, you know, how much you charge and when you run things and things like that. You've got your key messages that your ideal client is going to identify with. Once you've got them, stick to that, be consistent in it. Because if you keep changing your messaging, people are not going to understand you. They're going to forget you very quickly. Then you're not going to be memorable. You need to have, there's varying different statistics about how many touch points we need to have with our ideal client before they're ready to click to buy something or to book something or to book on a class, for example. So if it's going to take up to 11 potential times of them seeing us before they are ready to get on and work with us or come to a class that we're doing, you need to make sure that every single one of those touch points shares the right message, and it's a consistent message, and it's coherent all the way through your marketing, so that it's deepening their understanding of you and reinforcing their understanding of you every time they're coming across you, rather than one day she's talking about this and the next day she's talking about that, and they're not actually linking the two things together because it's not consistent. It needs to be consistent touch points for it to be effective. So that's why things like your logo and your brand is really important, because if you have your brand visually clear and you show that across everything you do in a consistent way, people are going to start to recognize that brand, and as they recognize it, they start to go, well, is this? I've seen this before. It sparks our curiosity. So use of your visual brand identity as well as your messaging, it all needs to be consistent all the way through everything that you're doing. Oh, my bullet points have jumped. So the marketing mix. There are 4 key parts of marketing. This is kind of a good little toolkit that can really help you if you're getting stuck with your business, but also specifically with your marketing. So we call it the 4 Ps: price, product, place, and promotion. And it sounds, it's not complicated as a concept. It's actually beautifully simple when you think about it. Price is thinking about, am I pricing my offer correctly for where I'm offering it, for who I'm offering it to, which is where your ideal market kind of comes into play. You know, if you're in a very sort of buoyant, financial, lucrative sort of area, you'll want to be charging more for your services because that will be the expectation. And if you're not charging enough, you're undervaluing yourself, but also people will not perhaps think that you're quality enough because you're charging too little. So think about your pricing as part of your marketing, and actually how you package things up price-wise. You know, do you offer ad hoc pay-as-you-go classes, or do you offer them in kind of terms, for example, or like bulk sessions sort of packages? Because who your ideal clients are will affect whether they want to pay for a whole chunk of sessions and come every single week, or whether they need something a bit ad hoc. And maybe if they need something a bit ad hoc, they're prepared to pay a little bit more for that because it gives them that flexibility to come only when they want to. So think about your pricing and really understand where you're offering your services, who you're offering it to, and what they're looking for from you in terms of the packaging and the price of what you're doing. So that's one thing you can think about. Your product, so obviously you're teaching belly dance, but in the marketing mix, what we talk about product is any kind of offer that you have, making sure that it's quality and that people understand the product that you have to offer, the service that you have to offer. And it's very, very clear to people exactly what they're getting when they pay their money to you. So not just, you know, I'm going to give you this money and you're going to give me a belly dancing class, but actually what am I going to get from within that class? What can I expect? Maybe what are your credentials? What training do you have? What associations are you part of, for example? Because that brings credibility and it shows that you are an expert at what you're doing. For example, people need to have confidence in your product. So you need to help them have that confidence by really showcasing what you do very, very well in your marketing. Your place, so where, as I said, where you're selling your services will impact on how you market it, but also you need to think about where you're going to market it. So place has 2 sorts of elements to it. Where are you going to deliver it, but also where are you going to promote it? Because where you promote and where you deliver your classes could massively impact on how successful you are. If you pick the wrong location, if you pick a really rundown area of town that people are scared to go to, and you're trying to get, you know, Joanna, who's an executive level corporate person, to go to this class in a rundown sort of area, she may not identify and want to go there. So it's about understanding that where you do your classes and also where you promote is really, really important. And, you know, if Joanna, our corporate persona, wants to go to classes, think about where she'll want to go, but also where she is. Where does she go day to day, where she's going to see your promotion? So when we think about things like social media, for example, is Joanna likely to be hanging out on TikTok? Probably not. If she's a corporate professional, she might be on LinkedIn, for example. So if your persona of the person that you're ideally trying to help is a corporate-y type person, you might just pick LinkedIn as a social media platform to get into, so you can start promoting there rather than on social media platforms where your ideal clients just don't spend any time. So think about where they hang out, where they spend their time, where do they go socially? If you're going to be putting leaflets up somewhere, is it the place that these people are going to go to? So do think about where and how. So there's a lot of changes going on. in the world of social media at the moment. Algorithms are not our friend. Facebook is not our friend as business owners unless we are paying them, and it is very, very difficult to reach new people unless you're paying at the moment, unless you know what you're doing and you're a bit cunning and a bit clever. So one little strategy, that if you find your ideal clients are on somewhere like Facebook, think about the groups that people belong to, because really at the moment most people are only using Facebook. They're scrolling through their newsfeed, or they're going to groups that they belong to and they're checking out those groups. There's not an awful lot of else going on. So if you know what kind of groups your ideal clients are in, you might want to go and be in those groups and get involved in those groups. And if you're allowed to promote, you can promote in those groups. But if you're not, you can still get involved in the conversation. And as you get to know people, you can kind of use those spaces to network and build connections rather than just trying to promote your stuff at everybody. So think about how you're going to promote and where you're going to do that, and what kind of marketing tools you want to use will depend on who you're trying to attract and where they're spending their time. So there are so many different routes for marketing. There's so many different tools you could use. It really needs to depend on all of the stuff that I've already talked about. You need to focus on who is my ideal client, where are they hanging out, what messages do they need to be seeing, are they somebody that's going to have the time to sit and watch a video of me waffling on, or do they just want to read a blog quickly when they're on the train? You know, so think about the kinds of ways that they want to consume information, and also think about when you're putting information out there, making sure it's digestible for people. You know, nobody wants to read essays about your business and how much you love what you do and who you are and why you do it. They want to read about themselves. That when they're reading stuff that you've put out there, it needs to be speaking to them. So whenever you're writing, always have your customer in mind and make sure that it's serving them. It's not serving you. You know, you're not there to try and sell to them in this piece. You're trying to capture their attention and to engage them and entertain them. And you're trying to help them on their journey. So make sure that anything you're doing is focused on helping them, not coming from your mindset of, I need more people in my classes, because the attitude and approach you take to how you promote has a massive impact on how that marketing will be received by people. And it's quite amazing what happens when you allow your mindset to shift from, I need more customers, to who can I serve? How can I help? How can I bring value through this marketing communication that I'm putting out? So that's the marketing mix, and you might want to think about this for your individual business at your leisure. Whistle stopping through these last couple. We were a little bit late starting, but I'm just conscious of time. Sorry, Kay. So you want to create a marketing plan. Once you've got all your basics and foundations clear, sit down with a spreadsheet or a notebook or whatever you want and plan. Don't just chuck stuff randomly out there, because you're not going to be able to check and measure if it's working, and you're not going to have that confidence in, oh, actually this activity is really paying off, I'll do more of this. So have a plan and set out the different ways that you're going to try and promote your business. So once you've got that plan, do it consistently, repeatedly, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. Don't just do it once and then expect results. It doesn't work like that. You need to kind of be persistent. So when you think about what might be on your marketing plan, there's so many ways you can market your business, but here's a few ideas on my slide. But I just encourage you to think outside the box. Bear in mind that it's not just about social media. Everyone just thinks social media these days, but actually old school marketing is still as relevant and useful as it ever was. So think about public relations. Think about getting yourself in the press or on the radio or on the TV. Think about little stunts that you could do with your class, things that's going on in your business, any news that you've got to share. Send a press release to the local paper. Use your website as a marketing platform and maybe keep that up to date with blogs to help Google to find you. It ranks you higher if you're regularly putting content out there that's new. Think about print, so leaflets, flyers, banners, posters, business cards, loyalty cards, all these sorts of things that you could do. Referral schemes, like word of mouth for you guys is probably one of the most popular ways of people finding out about you. Offer people some recognition when they refer a new participant to your class. Give them a free session to say thank you. Think about what you can do to encourage referrals and loyalty. Email marketing, far more important than social media now in terms of making sure that your messages are reaching people that are wanting to hear about you. So gather emails from people. put adverts out places, so much you can do. But think about your budget and how consistent you can be and how much time you've got to give, and map it out into some sort of time related plan that will help you to stay focused. Think about your personal brand. You are a unique individual. There is nobody else like you out there, no matter what other fitness classes, belly dancing teachers there are out there. You are the only one of you, and who you are makes you special. So showing up authentically as you online and wherever you go will really help people to feel a connection with you and want to be a part of what you're doing. So think about personal brand. And if you've not come across personal brand before, you might want to sort of dig into this a little bit as a topic and go away and research it, because it's absolutely fascinating. It's my personal specialty. It's great fun, and it enables you to be your full true self in your marketing, which is wonderful. But always make sure your marketing is focusing on your client, not on you. Okay, I said that on the last slide, but I'm going to say it again. Measure, evaluate, review. This is my final point, you'll be pleased to hear. And this is making sure that you are keeping tabs of the performance of your marketing, on the performance of your marketing, sorry. So you want to know if you're, constantly spending time doing something, is it working out? Is it actually yielding any result for you? The way that you can measure things can include things like including promotional codes on your flyers, so that if it's an offer, make sure that someone has to quote that code. So then okay, that's come from that mail out or that email or that leaflet drop or whatever. So the use of codes can be really helpful for tracking purposes. You can also set up special email inboxes for different campaigns. So actually, if you have if you've got some things going out, you could have, if you've got like your own hosting for your website, you could have lots of different mailboxes. They're usually, if depending on what packages you have with your hosts, you can usually have infinite mailboxes. So why not set up a few special inboxes with certain names at the beginning, like free session at or something, and that way when they email for more information, okay, they've seen this particular campaign and that's why they're emailing this address. So if you need any help on this sort of stuff, please feel free to get in touch. This is kind of my bread and butter, all the kind of marketing nitty gritty. Look at what is not working and what is working and tweak. Don't flog a dead horse. If you're doing something and it's not working, ask yourself why, first of all, because it might be that your messaging isn't quite right. It might be that you're posting things in the wrong places or at the wrong times. So, critically analyze the performance of what you're doing. And after 90 days, review, and if it's not working, change. 90 days, 3 months is how long it takes for your marketing to really have an impact. So some people are like, magical fairies. They start marketing and straight away they have loads and loads of clients. But typically speaking, that's not the norm for most people. It takes 90 days to see results. So give it time. Don't give up just because you're not getting a result straight away. It does need consistency. So if you're measuring and evaluating and reviewing the performance of your marketing, then you can change it and go again and just rinse and repeat, keep tweaking until you found what works, and then stick to it, because there's no point changing for the sake of changing. So if what you're doing is working, stick to it, but keep aware of what trends are going on out there, how people are consuming information, and make sure you do sort of move with the times, because it's very easy to get stuck doing one thing one way and forgetting that actually the world is moving on and we need to move on too. So just be mindful of developments and updates and the way things are working, and that will help you to make sure that you're doing the very best you can with your marketing. So if you have any questions, if you've got specific questions that you don't want to ask in front of everybody, you're welcome to email me, nikki@sunshineagency.co.uk. If you want any help with your branding or marketing any way, if you need a new logo package or help with a website or anything like that, social media, we can help you with that. I've got a small team. We'd be happy to help you. And as Kay mentioned, I also run Inspire, and Inspire is a great space to just come and drop into our weekly sessions. We alternate Monday morning and Monday evenings, so that you can drop in and ask any questions that you've got of the group, and you'll get kind of like a peer coaching session really to help you work through any specific challenges that you're facing. £10 a month, very flexible, no contracts. So if you're interested in that, the link is at the end of that slide. Thank you so much, and I hope that hasn't kind of completely frazzled everyone's brains. I'm conscious that I had to run through that very quickly and I still run over, but there is so much to marketing. I hope that is okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nikki. I'm going to take the spotlight off you if you want to stop your screen sharing. This will be available to everybody, so You'll be able to go back over the slides if you want. Does anybody have any questions, specific questions for Nikki? You can type them in, or you can unmute and shout them out if you have, girls. But as really, so I'm sure you can see the comments there, Nikki. Really useful. Thank you so much. A big thank you. So, well, yeah, that was really interesting, and lots of things to like allow to filter in and just to apply to ourselves and see what we think will work. And oh, what about an elevator pitch? Absolutely. What is an elevator pitch? Sticking a poster in an elevator.
Okay, well, in answer, Wendy, what about an elevator pitch? So just for anyone that doesn't know, an elevator pitch is where if you were stuck in a lift with somebody and you were just going up a few floors and they said, oh, you know, not this would ever happen, but they said, oh, tell me about yourself. You've got the amount of time from when you get in the lift to when you get out to tell them about yourself. So it's about very succinctly being able to express who you are, who you help, how you help them in a way that is powerful. So it's really refining your message down into less than 30 seconds. So when you've done all of those exercises that I've layered there, you should be in a position to be able to write an elevator pitch based on those key messages and really knowing your audience and what they need.
Yeah, I had a session with Nikki about the business side of things, and I just what you said to me, Nikki, that made sense was, you know, it's like, I just think everybody should belly dance. That's a bit too broad. We've got to sort of we've got to narrow it down a bit to pitch it to the right people. So thank you so much, Nikki. I'm going to move on to our next specialist now. So thanks for taking the time to join us. Give her a round of applause, girls.
Thank you for having me.